What you're seeing right now was one of the most popular activities of this empire, wherein two gladiators fight until one man is standing. But wait, if you're thinking that this is from the Greeks, then you're wrong, because this tradition was from the Roman Empire. You see, the Greeks once thought that they were the only ones inhabiting the lands of Europe, but then they came to realize that they are not the only group existing there. There were at least four other races that were ready to overthrow Greek, namely the Celts, Slavs, Germans, and the Romans. The Romans were indeed the ones who overpowered the Greeks through colonizing other city-states known as the Roman conquest.
The rise of the Roman Empire came to be, and Latin, as its language, spread all through Europe. Latin was declared as the lingua franca, and Greeks were forced to learn the new language of prestige, thus resulting to language shift. Latin continued to dominate Europe until it encountered a major obstacle, its first death. One of the reasons was the discovery of Europeans that they can cross oceans for colonizing and for trade. But the more important reason was the diversity of the language spoken by the people. Classical Latin was the only type of Latin that the elites used, while vulgar Latin, or the actual language spoken, was considered as the language of the masses. Because of this, there were problems on communications between the educated and the common people. One of these was of the celebration of the Mass. The priest used the classical Latin, but the common people who attend can't cope up with the language because they only know the vulgar Latin, thus causing the first death of Latin. Church didn't allow for Latin to die just like that. That's why they made it the official language of the church, making it the ecclesiastical Latin.
Latin barely survived its first death, and not too soon after, a major discovery will trigger the start of the second death. The discovery of the printing press led to the rise of the market for printed books. Publishing houses started to multiply in Europe, and classical Latin was available in print. Along with this, opposition to the Christianity of Romance was evident due to the rise of the Protestant churches, which was part of the Reformation that was initiated by Martin Luther King. Even though the information provided by the printed books were sometimes unfiltered and inappropriate, this didn't stop its gradual development. It has been then used as a form of communication aside from the oral courts and universities. Because of this, the stronger influence of the middle class and the common people in the city-states paved the way for the usage of the vernacular languages instead of Latin locally.
Latin, which was used as a means for high-level discussions, was now slowly dying. Books and even the scientific works adopted the use of the vernacular languages, which have gone stronger than ever. All the vernacular languages that challenged Latin on its first death have evolved gradually and independently. And as Latin faced its second death, it has been more of a tough pill to swallow than its first death. It was once the language of information and prestige, but suddenly it became nothing at all. Alongside Latin's death was the downfall of the Roman Empire. And thus, we may say that a nation is always linked to its language, and if either of the two rise or fall, the other one will have the same fate.
That concludes our discussion on the death of Latin as a language. This has been Nica Balbaguen.
And this has been Warley Frias for EL50. Goodbye.